Welcome to episode 12 of the Life Coaching with Ryan Book Club. We are talking chapter 3 of Fxck Feelings by the Bennetts. In order to have something concrete to talk about, I mentioned chapter 1 felt like it had a consistent I don't know, it's not that there was a through line, but even with the modules, it felt consistent. And so what I attempted to do for today is I went through each subsection and grabbed parts of each. And so the subtopics are really wide-ranging. Defending your right to live in safety. Getting closure after childhood abuse, getting a square deal, clearing your name, getting justice and or closure. And those felt, they were so different, but they all have to do with fairness. So how can I wrap it all together? Because those are some fairly extreme examples. How can we make it applicable to anyone who's experiencing a concern about fairness in their life? So I took 3 pages of notes where I just broke down each section into what I thought was generalizable. And I realized if I read you the full list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20 plus bullet points, that'd get pretty dry. So what I chose to do is just grab even 2 to 4 from each section, so hopefully you can hear it in context to see if it can apply to you, even if you don't have such an extreme example of one of those subheaders in your life. So let me break it down the way that the Bennetts break it down, which is what you wish for and can't have, what you can aim for and actually achieve, and how you can do it. Now I have like a beef that I want to discuss at the very end with the how you can do it section. We'll get there. So first I'll start with, if you are concerned about fairness, what you wish for and can't have in all likelihood is complete safety, security, and guaranteed preservation of all you have. You're not going to get to keep it just because you have it. And also this idea that everything happens for a reason and that it will all work out eventually. When I say everything happens for a reason, I mean in that wishful thinking way. Like, whatever happens to me is going to lead to something better. So if you're concerned about fairness, there's a high probability that you are hoping for either justice or positivity as an outcome. But if you're struggling with fairness, that's what you can't achieve. That's what the loop that you're stuck in is having these hopes and these wishes and not coming true. So what can you aim for and actually achieve? Well, you can become strong enough to pursue your usual life in spite of intense feelings that won't go away. It's a lot of that in any of these chapters. Is just because you feel strongly doesn't mean you shouldn't try to engage in your life normally to the best of your ability. And also accept the loss of what you thought was yours and live with regret without considering it important. So instead of the live without regret axiom, or make all decisions in light of not wanting to have regret, the suggestion here is accept regret. You will make decisions you don't like, or you will make decisions with results you don't like, and also things will happen to you that you have no control over. It will still instigate a feeling of regret. So learn to live with regret. So how can you do it? Well, you can judge your risk by what is likely to happen, not by what you wish will change. Oh my God, I read that and my brain nearly exploded. And so I'm gonna repeat it. Judge your risk, really judge any circumstance, by what is likely to happen, not by what you wish will change. How many times have you been with a partner? How many times have you been at a job? How many times have you been dealing with a friend where you interact with them as if something about them is going to change? Something about the situation is going to change outside of you that will then magically make it all okay. So you're going to treat the person or the situation as if it's going to change, because obviously everything works out for the best, and you just suffer and suffer and suffer and suffer and suffer. That was a big one for me. Practice methods for staying in touch with your goals and values when you're flooded with negative feelings. If you can keep your mind on the end goal, then the stumbling blocks don't dominate your field of vision. Never feel personally defeated by your inability to make things work fairly for yourself or others, because guess what? You don't have control of everything, so you cannot therefore take responsibility for everything. And lastly, reassure yourself of your lack of responsibility for losing what's gone. Same basic principle, can't be in control of everything. So here's my beef. How? It says how you do these things, but it's not really how. It's like categories of action or categories of thinking with no practical advice on how to make it so. Judge your risk by what is likely to happen, not by what you wish will change. Now, perhaps that's enough of a framework to alter your thinking, but it might be nice to have a couple questions to help frame that. Practice methods for staying in touch with your goals. Okay, what are those methods? Never feel personally defeated. That seems kind of wishful thinking to me. How do you learn to not feel personally defeated? And how reassuring yourself of your lack of responsibility, I will say both from personal experience and people I've coached. You reassure yourself when you feel like you're lying to yourself. You don't believe the affirmation, so what's another way to work through that? And I mentioned in my podcast, I prefer a mantra, let's call it. I think affirmations is a type of mantra. Mantras that connect us to a new way of thinking rather than a specific way of thinking. So for example, instead of saying I'm beautiful and everyone loves me, you really feel like you're lying to yourself when you say that. It might bolster you temporarily, but there's a disconnect. You might say I allow my higher self to think truth through me. I allow my higher self to feel divine connection through me. And that may sound incredibly woo-woo. So insert whatever you want here. Instead of higher self, you could say my best self. You could say the part of me that sees without judgment. Like whatever it is, that sounds way too complicated, but whatever it is that's logical and reasonable to you in your life. If you're super woo-woo, I mean, fine, call it your higher self. Whatever, call it your unique self, call it your guides or whatever. Just find the phrasing that works for you that allows you to cut through the noise in your head. So you're not trying to convince yourself of something that's not true. You're trying to hold space for your brain to think new thoughts. My opinion. Just my opinion. What is your opinion? I would love to know in the comments what you think about those bullet points I read. Where are you in your journey right now when it comes to fairness? Do you believe that the world is inherently fair? Do you believe that it's inherently unfair? Do you think the whole notion of fairness is just bullshit and that's why are we even talking about this? There's no such thing as fairness. You can't even say the world isn't fair. There's just no such thing. It's made up by humans. Justice is what we make of it. I would just love to know generally your reaction to the concepts in this chapter. So I hope you're having a fantastic day. I hope you have a fantastic, magical week. Thank you for those who dropped by at the beginning of my live stream. As Philip DeFranco says, I love your faces. Wearing my Philip DeFranco sweatshirt today. Yeah, hope you're well.